If you feel like that yoga's not for you because your wrists hurt so much, don't worry.
Don't worry about it, sweetheart.
You'll get there. It was me too. It's still me too sometimes. Every time that I fall off of doing yoga every day and I come back in, I will start practicing immediately with my wrists because I already know if I don't, it's gonna start to hurt. And I'm gonna say, damn girl, this hurts. I'm not enjoying this. And you don't wanna feel like that in yoga.
But here we go.
Hey you guys, and welcome back to another video from my floor, a great place to be. A couple of you guys have asked me this question about wrists and hand placement when it comes to doing yoga, particularly downward dog and anything where you're putting weight onto your wrists. So I totally feel you. I struggled with this and still struggle with this, honestly. Like it's a journey trying to figure out exactly how to avoid any complaints or fussiness in your wrists. But there are some tools in my toolkit that I've found, that I've collected from teachers along the way, from learning from Adrienne, doing a lot of yoga with Adrienne, and then other teachers that I've had in classes. So I'm gonna try to help you guys out and bring some of that here to this video today with my own little spice on it. Go ahead and get onto a mat so that you can get some good grip. And first things first, when you're using your hands in yoga, you really want to make sure that everything is in nice alignment underneath your shoulders, and then the same goes for your knees underneath your hips. You definitely don't want to be too close together in here, otherwise you're going to end up putting a lot of pressure on your entire arm and even on the outsides of your wrists here, because you'll inevitably end up kind of making this V shape, even though it doesn't feel like it. You'll figure it out. You gotta check yourself, okay? We're gonna go nice and wide here. And what you want to do is you want to spread your hands as nice and wide as you can without obviously like breaking your fingers off, okay? Instead of putting all this weight just like towering down into your hands, what you want to do is kind of imagine that the weight is distributing equally where these fingers meet your hand. So right at the ball joints of your fingers here, try to imagine that you're pressing in there. A lot of times I would find that when I first started yoga, I would start pressing in the outsides of my hands. And even you can see that like your hands will start to come up right here. Your thumbs and index finger will start to kind of pop up. And that's a telltale sign like you are putting too much weight on the sides of your hands there, and therefore on your wrists. Really take your time when you're doing yoga, especially as a beginner, to get this placement right. You don't want to feel rushed in this, because this is where you can really screw yourself up. You know what I'm saying, baby? Like I said, we're pushing equally into our outer edge of our hand and then the inner side towards our thumb. And imagine that this part here of your hand is kind of pushing in. And I know that's kind of a weird feeling to imagine, but try pushing that down first into your mat first, and then place the rest of your hand, and you might be able to get a better grip or feel as to what that should feel like when this fleshy part between your thumb and your index finger actually is touching. And when you can start to gain stability right here in that part of your hand, you'll notice it'll just get easier and easier, like training a muscle, because that's exactly what you're doing. So once you've gotten to your best capability, your hands pushing equally into your mat, then what I want you to do is kind of imagine that you're clawing in at your fingertips. Not too crazy, you know, we're not like putting holes into our mat. Just enough so that you can kind of feel you're evenly distributing all that weight. Now, what I want you to do is imagine, this is an Adrienne trick that I love, and I always think about this. She talks about how what you want to do is kind of imagine here that you've got your wrist on a jar, and you're gonna just open your jam jar a little bit, metaphorically speaking, because you're not gonna actually move your hands outward, but it's the energetic move of feeling like, okay, we're gonna kind of turn into this, like we're turning the lid on the jam jar. I really liked that analogy. When you do this, honestly, I would just practice being in all fours and really distributing your weight equally, because honestly, you will start to feel a burn. You're gonna start to feel your muscles in your hands turn on. When you do that, honestly, you really don't have to put that much weight on it. You can move up into downward dog, don't get me wrong, but this is enough to start training your hands. And you do this every day, and you'll get more and more confident. Every time you get a couple minutes, even if you're working, you know, take a quick break and just pop onto all fours and see how long you can do this without giving up, you know, a couple minutes. But once you have gotten comfortable, you can start to apply this to downward dog. Once you've checked in, you're definitely pushing into the fleshy part in between your thumb and your index finger, and you're pushing in between all fingers equally, right at the ball joint of those fingers. and you've done your twist on your jam jar, then you're ready to come up. I like to come up a little bit on my knees first, and then just imagine that a little string is attached to my butt bone, okay? And we're gonna slowly lower down. And this is the time, feel free to start moving your hands a little bit and figuring out what feels good, but always remember to go back through that checklist that we found. Getting used to using your hands and your fingertips and these muscles here will help you so much more in setting you up for all the different moves that you're gonna need to do in yoga. Especially, I found a lot of trouble when I didn't pay attention to hand placement when I would do one-armed moves, right? So if you're here, crunching in and coming out and crunching in, those are the moves where you're doing double trouble on this, okay? You can't put all the weight in one hand without really making sure that you know how to place your hands to avoid any pain and to avoid any damage on your wrists. So like I said, just start practicing little bits at a time during the day, and it's okay to just be in all fours position and practice this. Another great position to practice with is in cat-cow. Use your hands as a little bit of a controller, planting into the ground from your palms of your hands and from your fingertips. So try that. Try different very easy moves. Don't push yourself. Don't just try to practice it in downward dog if you don't feel confident about it. Try it from the easiest moves possible, even if it just means coming out to extended child's pose. You can slowly start to come up and put little bits. This is just little bits of pressure so that you can slowly train your hands. And that way you're not even putting as much weight as if you were in all fours position. This is a really good way to start training your hands if you really feel like you cannot do yoga because your wrists are just in so much pain. Start from the, like I said, the easiest place possible. And the more that you do this, even in this position, just sitting here, I promise you, my friend, the more you will get confident and the more strength you'll get in your wrists. So don't worry about it. If you feel like that yoga's not for you because your wrists hurt so much, don't worry.
Don't worry about it, sweetheart.
You'll get there. It was me too. It's still me too sometimes. Every time that I fall off of doing yoga every day and I come back in, I will start practicing immediately with my wrists because I already know if I don't, it's gonna start to hurt. And I'm gonna say, damn girl, this hurts. I'm not enjoying this. And you don't want to feel like that in yoga. So just take the time before your practice to just warm up. And you can do this before every practice. Now, another thing you can do to really alleviate some of the pressure is once you're done practicing, you can alleviate the pressure that you might be feeling by just allowing your hand to come down the opposite way here and giving a little bit of a push. You can come back up too. But I really like this one. This move just helps me so much. And massaging your wrists, honestly, don't be afraid to tend to yourself when it comes to this. A lot of people try to tell themselves that they need to tough it out, or oh my gosh, something's wrong with me. I'm just so sore. I have bad wrists. I have bad knees. I'm not flexible. All these things. Nobody's born super flexible. Nobody's born with like extra strong wrists. We're all just on our journey trying to figure out exactly how to get strength in these areas because it's not really about getting strong wrists. It's about getting strong muscles to support your wrists. So don't put so much pressure on yourself when you think, oh goodness, I'm not flexible. Why did I just say, oh goodness? Oh goodness, I'm not flexible. If you feel like you're not flexible, join the world. Wait, she said what? Everybody who is flexible started from inflexibility, and you'll get there just like the rest of them. I'm not that flexible, but I know that I'm much more flexible than I used to be, and I'm gonna get more flexible as time goes on. So just try not to beat up on yourself. Try to give yourself a little bit of leeway here. If you're feeling pain in yoga, if you're feeling frustrated when you're doing yoga, just give yourself a break. Let yourself feel it out. Let yourself find things that actually feel good to your body. I hope that you definitely don't stop doing yoga because you're afraid that you have bad wrists or you have bad knees or whatever part of your body you think is not capable of doing yoga. I hope that you still find the courage and the bravery in yourself to just try it out a little bit further and find modifications so that you're not just diving straight into yoga sessions, hurting yourself, and then getting this bad taste in your mouth every time thinking that yoga is bad for you. Maybe you just need to approach it a little bit differently. Everybody's body is different, so honor what's going on in your body and give your body a little bit of time to practice. I love you so much.
Well, here we go. Bye.